I go to New York. My name is Anna, and I come from Spain. I've always wanted to visit New York, and this year I finally got the chance to move there to learn English. I was both excited and nervous. I had never been to New York before, so the whole experience felt new and overwhelming. I had dreamed of this moment for so long, but now I was here. I couldn't believe it. Arriving in New York, the plane landed in New York, and I stepped out of the airport into the bustling city. The air felt different, full of energy, and the sounds of cars, people talking, and the honking of horns filled the air. I took a deep breath and smiled. I'm really here, I thought to myself. The city was so big and busy. Tall skyscrapers filled the sky, and I saw so many people walking quickly on the sidewalks. The streets were filled with yellow taxis, and the buildings seemed to touch the clouds. I took a taxi to my apartment. The streets looked different from what I had imagined, but everything felt so alive and full of possibilities. As I looked out of the taxi window, I saw huge billboards, shops with bright lights, and so many people from all over the world. New York was like nothing I had ever seen before. Meeting my roommate. When I arrived at my new apartment, I met my roommate Laura. She was from Brazil, and she had been living in New York for a few months already. She was very kind and showed me around the apartment. The apartment was small but cozy, with a nice kitchen and a little living room where we could relax. I was happy to have such a nice roommate, and I felt lucky to be living with someone who had already experienced life in New York. Laura was also studying English, and she told me that she was working as a waitress in a cafe nearby. She spoke English very well and helped me with some of the words and phrases I didn't understand. First day at language school. The next day, I woke up early, ready to start my first day at language school. I was nervous because my English wasn't perfect, but I was excited to learn more. The school was only a few blocks away from our apartment. It was a big building with many classrooms, and I could hear people speaking different languages as I walked inside. I went to my classroom, and the teacher introduced herself. Her name was Miss Thompson, and she had a warm smile. There were about 10 students in our class. Some were from China, others from Brazil, and there were a few people from Italy, just like me. We all spoke different languages, but we were here for the same reason, to improve our English. Miss Thompson asked everyone to introduce themselves. When it was my turn, I nervously said, "Hi, I'm Anna. I come from Spain, and I'm here to learn English." Miss Thompson smiled and nodded, saying, "That's great, Anna. She encouraged everyone to speak, and I felt a little more confident as the day went on. Learning English with Miss Thompson. Miss Thompson was a great teacher. She made the lessons interesting and easy to understand. That day, she asked us to describe our cities. When it was Laura's turn, she spoke fluently, like a native speaker. Her English was perfect, and I was amazed. "Where did you learn English?" Miss Thompson asked. "I use it every day. I think in English, and I try to speak it all the time," Laura explained. I admired Laura for being so confident in English. It gave me hope that one day I could speak just like her. I wanted to be able to speak English easily and without hesitation. I knew it would take time and practice, but I was ready for the challenge. After class, I walked back to the apartment with Laura. We talked about what we had learned in class. She gave me some tips on how to practice English more, like watching English movies, listening to English music, and speaking with native speakers as much as possible. Cooking with Laura. In the evening, Laura decided to cook some Italian food for dinner. She knew that I missed the food from home, so she wanted to make me feel comfortable. She made a delicious dish called pasta alla carbonara. It was one of my favorite meals, and it smelled amazing. As we cooked together, we talked about our lives back in Spain and Brazil, sharing funny stories and experiences. While we cooked, Laura taught me some new English words related to cooking, like boil, stir, and fry. It was a fun way to practice English, and I learned a lot just by talking to her while we prepared the food. After we finished cooking, we sat down at the small dining table, enjoyed our meal, and talked about our plans for the future. We both dreamed of improving our English and one day finding jobs that would allow us to stay in New York, working part-time. After a few weeks, I started looking for a part-time job. I wanted to practice my English more and earn some money to help pay for my studies. I found a job in a small cafe near our apartment. It wasn't easy at first. The customers spoke quickly, and I had to listen carefully to understand them. Sometimes I didn't know the answers to their questions, and I felt a little embarrassed. But with each day, I got better at listening and speaking in English. One day, a customer asked me for a cappuccino, and I made it perfectly. I was proud of myself. I realized that I was learning English not only in class, but also at work. Talking to customers every day helped me improve my vocabulary and confidence. My manager, an American woman named Sarah, was very kind and always encouraged me. She helped me with my pronunciation and corrected me when I made mistakes. I felt happy knowing I was improving every day. A new beginning. As the weeks went by, I became more comfortable in New York. I was learning English, making new friends, and even finding my way around the city. The people, the tall buildings, the lights, and the endless possibilities. Every day felt like an adventure. My first few months in New York had been challenging, but now I felt more confident in myself and my abilities. I knew that I was on the right path and that I would continue to grow, both in English and in life. And one day, I hope to speak English as fluently as Laura, my Brazilian roommate, who had already shown me the way. Every day was a new opportunity to learn, and I was excited for what the future held.